Keto and crime, keto and crime. We uncover the grime on keto and crime. Keto and crime, keto and crime. Now is the time for keto and crime.
Hey everyone, welcome to Keto and Crime, and today I've got the second installment in my Exploitation trilogy. Last time we covered bum fights and In Decline Productions. Today we delve into the very creepy world, and this video is going to be demonetized. There's just no way around it, because we're going to be talking about revenge porn and other stuff like that as we dive deep into the case of Hunter Moore and Is Anyone Up? Another scandal that broke right around the time of bum fights and led to revamping of porn laws all over the country. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. And so because we know this video is instantly going to be demonetized, might I invite you to please support this channel's sponsor, Keto Crisp. I'll link it down below. They are wonderful, all-natural, plant-based, keto-friendly, diet-friendly chocolate bars and various flavored bars that are so good. So if you're keto or just on a weight loss journey and need something that satisfies your sweet tooth and your appetite, check out Keto Crisp. I'll link that down below. And with that being said, let's dive into revenge porn and Hunter Moore with background on what exactly is revenge porn. Let's go. What is revenge porn? Well, I think we all know what revenge is. To get even with someone. We all know what porn is. Revenge porn is basically where you send, without the permission of the party in the images, you basically distribute images of someone that did not consent. And, you can get into a whole lot of different issues with that, but let's just say it's unsolicited, unauthorized images of someone. And this was not a new phenomenon. Hunter Moore did not start this phenomenon. It actually goes all the way back into the early 1980s with Hustler magazine. That's right, good old Larry Flynt. He had a monthly feature called Beaver Hunt that was basically reader-submitted images. And for a while it ran as it was intended, people submitting their own or submitting images with consent, but inevitably, because people can be really crappy to each other, you had men submitting images of their exes, of former hookups, and you eventually had several women suing Hustler and those that submitted them for infringement, and for forging consent forms, because lots of times everything was done with pen and paper. They would just, forge them. Now, of course, Larry Flynt was able to settle most of it, and he did end the Beaver Hunt series as a result. This is one of the first times where you delve into the world of, is the thing that the stuff is being presented on, is it just a platform where all legal responsibility goes to the people posting the stuff, such as a YouTube, a Facebook, an Instagram? Is Instagram just a conduit for someone to post stuff and that the poster bears all the liability? Or is that middle thing a publisher, whereas they can also be held liable? So this was one of the earliest cases of versus Hustler magazine, where Hustler settled it before it got to that point. And the Hustler suit was one of the many reasons that revenge porn was even a thing on the California books. About 20 years later, early 2000s, an Italian researcher by the name of Sergio Messino identified several different websites, among them the Usenet group and an amateur porn site called XTube, which were receiving similar complaints to those of Hustler because of people just sending in nudes of exes or just people that they knew, which, how did they get those nudes? But that's a whole other different thing that we'll get into. And you had similar lawsuits pending, several. Now, where it really broke off was in 2009, 2010 with Hunter Moore, and his website is Anyone Up. And that's what really laid the, even though the site was only in existence for just a few months, it really lit the storm of what constitutes publisher versus content platform. You know, is it just a middleman, or is it actually the publisher, and what are the legal ramifications? It also started to put forth what could be posted versus what could be posted. I think we can all agree that pictures of someone, no matter what the state of those pictures, should never be posted without someone's permission. But as we know, people can be really nasty to each other. So that's where it really kind of kicked off. There's been other suits. Reddit in 2015 was hit with a number of allegations of things being posted without people's consent, and that led to many of the huge social media platforms, including big tech like Google, like Reddit, like Microsoft, saying that they would strike down pictures upon request to make sure that they held no liability in what was being put. So I guess the posting of unauthorized pictures has always kind of been a thing. But let's get into the subject of today's video, and that is Hunter Moore and Is Anyone Up? Hunter Moore, born March 9th, 1986, would quickly become known, according to Rolling Stone magazine, as the most hated man on the internet. He had a pretty average growing up, and rumors have that there's not a whole lot about him out there. He has pretty much been able to wipe a lot of it. But one thing he always wanted to do is be an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur specifically. He saw the wave that the internet was going to be, and he sought to be part of that. So he always wanted to be a tech entrepreneur. The only problem is he loved to party way too much, and we're going to get into that. But as a child, he was expelled from Woodland Christian School near Sacramento, California, and basically ended up attending several other schools and being partially homeschooled as well. He eventually dropped out altogether at the age of 13 and launched a series of small businesses. He said he didn't need school. He just needed money and freedom to do what he wanted to do. He has often referenced himself as a professional ruiner of lives. So this is the kind of person we're dealing with. Ironically, at the age of 16, he was working at a local Sacramento pizza parlor and was sexually harassed, ironically, by a female manager, and as a result sued the establishment and ended up winning a six-figure settlement from their insurance company. But instead of doing what most entrepreneur-minded people would do and using it to invest in a business, he ended up traveling the world. He was talking to a girl from Australia online, went over and hung out with her for a few months, used it to travel the world, party at all the hottest hotspots all around Europe, Australia, North America, South America, and ended up blowing the money, eventually landing back in California broke. While there, he dated a girl that broke his heart, but not before they had become intimate and he had taken provocative pictures, which will come into play later. According to Moore, and this his words as told to a reporter, I'm kind of retarded and didn't know what to do with the money, so he ended up broke from a bad breakup, and from there took off from California and ended up in New York City. There he got into a very unique business. He said he became heartless with no feeling for anyone, not even his own family. And the trauma of being harassed and then the breakup and then, squandering all of his money led him to a very unique business of hosting sex parties around New York that catered to middle-aged men. And before anyone says yes, immediately Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein pop into my mind. I don't think that Hunter Moore had any affiliation with them, but it might have been going on. It's probably going on at roughly the same time, mid-90s to early 2000s. I mean, it's a little too close for comfort, but in any way. So he was hosting these sex parties, tending to these rich businessmen, and at one point he decided that maybe he should do something a little more beneficial and less dangerous, and perhaps start a website that told people all the hottest places to party around the world, their hours, who was there, pictures, kind of an early social media platform for party. And his sister, who wanted him to stop doing what he was doing, obviously, went ahead and purchased a domain name called isanyoneup.com. And he started using it to review nightclubs, post pictures of what he had seen in Europe and North America, and turned it into an R-rated travel site. In late 2010, he was evidently hooking up with a girl who was engaged to a member of an emo rock band, and everyone wanted to see her naked. So the very first nude pictures ever posted to isanyoneup.com was this hookup of Hunter Moore's. And within a few hours, he had over 14,000 visitors to that one photo than he had in the entire year that isanyoneup had been operational as a travel site, R-rated travel site. And as a result of this, started becoming very popular with members of what is known as the metalcore music scene, which is kind of a fusion music genre that has elements of metal and punk, and was very, very big in the early 2000s. It's still out there. I mean, YouTube stars like Jeffree Star came from there. Also came Dobby Vanity, which is a whole other thing, which is probably indicative of why we're here. And so basically it became very, very popular, and groupies of many of the bands associated with metalcore started posting their own nudes, and then you had members of the band and their road crew starting to just post nudes of various people that they knew or had hooked up with, and even just random ones. For example, a former girlfriend, a former hookup, anyone which you might have taken a nude of, or someone had sent you a nude. You're in the middle of meeting someone for the first time online and you end up going that far. Started doing this, but post to isanyoneup followed a very unique formula. Instead of just posting the picture and advertising it as a full-on nudie site, basically it would, when you posted a picture, you would also link to the person's Facebook or Twitter profile. So the people, when they first came onto the site, the thumbnail would be their Facebook or Twitter profile, and then they would click on it and they would see some normal photos such as you would see on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then you would get into the nudies, as well as just generic pictures talking about them, and then it would show a meme or an animated GIF, kind of making it, as the internet is today with emojis and things like that, and you could say something insulting or sarcastic, and that's kind of how the site operated. According to Moore, the site at one time, at its peak, just before it was shut down in 2012, was making around $13,000 a month. So he had achieved his goal of being a tech entrepreneur of some sort. He said that he took legal precautions to make sure that the people were of age and that they were submitted through social networking sites with the person's permission. He also captured IP addresses according to him, but later on when the investigation began, that was Butkus. Basically, it came out that he had actually hired hackers to hack pictures of celebrities and things like that, and other people from social media to actually post on the site. So a lot of what he said was untrue. Some of the big controversies was a young actress by the name of Kayla Laws. In 2011, she was 24 at the time, doing acting gigs and waitressing gigs. Was notified that some of her nudes were on anyoneUp.com. She eventually filed a lawsuit. Floridian rock band, A Day to Remember. Also said that the lead singer's genitalia was also present on the website. They sued. And eventually a lot of lawsuits came forward, with the culmination being a letter by Bullyville owner James McGibney, who posted it to the front page of Anyone Up, saying that he was filing a class action lawsuit on behalf of anyone that had been wronged by the website and encouraging people to join in. All this happened 2011 to 2012. Moore actually was invited to come on Anderson Cooper once the story broke, and he was being confronted by two women who had been, victimized, that their nudes had been uploaded by an anonymous user. His retort was, no one put a gun to your head and made you take those pictures. He said, it's 2011, everything's on the internet.
I want to say to Hunter,
what is your motive with your website? Is this money? Is it?
No, it's just getting that information out to everybody. I mean, it's
what does that mean?
I mean, people are curious about that. There's
do you feel
definitely
bad,
a market for it.
Do you feel bad about doing this to, you don't know these women, you don't know anything about them, just anonymous people give you the pictures. Why what's
that's
right
kind
about
of what makes it easier, I mean, it is all anonymous. I don't know these people, and
But they're sitting right here. I mean, you don't feel any?
No, I mean, no one put a gun to your head and made you take these pictures. It's 2011.
Yeah. So, booey. Also during 2011, Moore was attacked and stabbed with a pen, so like Joker action, by a woman who was featured on the website, and Facebook by December of 2011 threatened legal action against him, and supposedly in response to their cease and desist, he sent them a picture of his genitalia. Pending an FBI investigation, which was launched in 2012, Moore actually sold the website to James McGibney, Bullyville, the one that posted the open letter about the lawsuit, to him, and got out of the business. And that Moore posted an open letter to Bullyville.com, explaining his decision to sell to the man suing him. Perhaps as retribution, perhaps it was just political, craftiness to get ownership of the site by James McGibney would not surprise me. But Tracy, what is Bullyville.com? It is a website that still looks like it's lost in the early 2000s, if you take a look at it. But it is basically a website that profiles internet bullying and feuds and things like that. So honestly, I suppose if he was going to sell as anyone up to anybody, that was the perfect person. Which makes me wonder about their motivations to actually try to help the people that were affected. But basically, the FBI started a ongoing investigation. In January 2014, Moore and his aide Charles Evans were arrested by the FBI and indicted in federal district court in California on charges of conspiracy, unauthorized access to a protected computer, and aggravated identity theft, all because of the actions on Is Anyone Up? In February 2015, Moore pled guilty, and so did Charles Evans, including kind of coming out that he had been hired to hack various websites to find pictures to post. But basically, Evans was sentenced to 2.5 years, 2 years in jail and a fine of $2,000. And under the same judge, Moore was sentenced to 2.5 years in federal prison, 3 years supervision and probation. Following that, he had to undergo a mental health evaluation and pay a $2,000 fine. And as a result of these lawsuits, revenge porn laws were enacted all over the country. And the whole debacle about who is a publisher versus who is just a platform was unleashed. That's why we see so much text censorship. That's why YouTube censors certain content, because in some states they can be held responsible for that. So that's why. So Hunter Moore, just a real saint of a dude, I'll tell you. People, if you take nude pictures of yourself, and I know it's your right, absolutely, don't put them anywhere online. Don't send them to anybody. Keep them to yourself. That's the only way to 100% guarantee that this won't happen to you. But I hope you enjoyed it. Just another wonderful way that people exploit each other. Absolutely. And ended up causing a lot of trouble for a lot of content creators in the end. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back really, really soon with another true crime story. And until then, keep on crime.